Now, from here at this stage, this is probably the last. It's the second to last, it's third to last, but it's probably the most significant guide of how you should live inside of this. So if you have your moon, it's the planetary rulers, and each planet that rules a sign expresses the good qualities of the sign. It represents the noble, or it could represent the really degenerative side of that sign too, but it shows how the type of energy that sign has to deal with, and the texture that if you have your moon there, you're going to feel you need to live up to that texture. So if you have your moon in Capricorn or in Aquarius, you're going to feel a need to be responsible, defensive, and be protective about your feelings, not show them. You're going to be a little cold with your feelings. These are they're the least maternal signs. Moon in Capricorn, of course, they're much more rational or strategic, plan things. They're the colder signs. It's ruled by Saturn. But they're the signs that need respect. So the signs need to work hard, even though they might get depressed about it. They need to work hard, or could be very ambitious to accomplish something Saturn, to get respect Saturn, to have dignity Saturn, to live a dignified life. Someone may work to live and have a dignified life or respect life. Someone else could get the same moon in those signs and feel, I've lived a very depressed life. I've been poor. Nobody ever cares for me. And they can get into the negative Saturn would be a depression on the moon, a restriction of the feelings, an inhibition of them. So when you look at all the people with moon in Capricorn, moon in Aquarius, you're not going to go to them for sympathy. They'll talk, they'll have ideas, they'll have their judgments of what's practical, their really realistic advice. But if you're the moon in Cancer, that realistic advice is too depressing and too boring, you're not going to take it. It's good to hear, but it's the opposite of how you're going to process. So then, so when you get to Pisces and Sagittarius, you have the Jupiter adventure, understanding. So with the Saturn rulership, it's inhibiting the moon and making it a little more ambitious, or I have to get respect, I have to take care of these problems. When it's Jupiter, it's not that. It's how it's expanding, it's traveling, it's gambling, it's speculating, it's getting the overview and seeing all the possible things. So the moon in Pisces has many different pockets of reality. It's hard for them to stay in one place. It's hard for them to stay in one marriage unless they have a whole lot of friends and many diversity, and the husband has to give the space, because you try and restrict that to just one thing, they won't fit into that. They're always trying to understand Jupiter, their feelings. But so when they get a strong feeling, they're going to understand it. But often they magnify it to extent. It's going to tend to exaggerate their feelings. So the Pisces more dramatically, emotionally, the Sag more by behavior and feeling. They identify the different cultures. When you put it to Mars, you're going to have the aggressive sign. So Mars in Aries or Mars in Scorpio, they're competitive. The Mars in Scorpio is kind of revenge or judgmental or get even or what's fair. The Mars in Aries is get out of my way. I got to prove I'm strong enough to do this. And I need to do this. That attitude of needing to push things or needing to, I'm feeling down, I got to get out of here. I'm feeling sick, I'm not waiting for the doctor. I got to go do something. I got to try and work this off or burn this out. So there's a need to be active and courageous and strong, but not necessarily harming. If you're being strong and you hurt people, it creates bad karma and it's going to affect you. But that need to try things. I got to try the bike. I got to try the skiing. I got to try I got to try and make something happen. They may be klutzy in the kitchen, but they're still going to try and make things happen quickly. They're not going to get bored with it. In Scorpio, they try and do. I've done everything for you. I'm living for you. I've done it. I made the dishes. I did the dinner. The least you could is call me if you're going to be late. Don't show up late. You know, like it's judgmental in the water sign, but there's still a need of how do you get noble. It's important to do things for others. You're putting extra energy. It means it, but when you do that, you're still going to have the emotional expectation the other person is going to respond to you. So that Mars can add temper, aggression. It's all these things are going to affect your habit patterns, even the way you remember things, your feelings, your sense of security. You're not going to feel secure with a Mars thing unless you're being active or physical or sexual. You have to be doing things. And if you start getting sick or not able to do things, it's going to really be a personal criticalness to adjust your behavior patterns so you can be strong and healthy again. In Pisces and Sag, when you're socializing, extending your energy, there's a marked tendency to eat too much or get sloppy with your patterns or try to do too many things. And there's often a need to get disoriented, or you push too much and you have to get back to a little bit of simplicity. When you get to so Venus is always the guardian angel. So if you're thinking of a sign, like if you go to Taurus, Taurus is ruled by Venus. Venus is your values and the choices you make. What you want, what you like, what satisfies you. It's not what you want to do, it's what satisfies you. Mars is doing what you want to do to prove things to others. I prove things. I can prove I can do this. I've gained this experience. With Venus is I like this. I want this. I don't want that. I don't want this. It's the choices we make. So Taurus is very stubborn in making comfortable and beautiful choices. Don't ever buy clothes for a Taurus. Give them the money to buy it themselves, but don't assume you can buy it, because there'll be something wrong. It's not quite good enough unless it's really expensive and you know they're going to really like it. Anything that's a little less will really be a big no. I can't wear that. I don't like this. They have a need to make things beautiful, comfortable, taste-worthy. So a Taurus is a master of taste. So they can be artists, they can be bankers. They want to have the taste. They feel a need to feel satisfied, content, comfortable, tasteful, taste-worthy. The Libras like the taste too, but it's more social. So for every ruler, there's a masculine ruler and a feminine ruler, a ruler of a masculine sign or a feminine sign. So that we're going over the signs, but that very attitude will come in and affect the way you need, the way you live, the way you memorize. So Taurus moon's stubborn, fixed, practical, earth, down to earth. But it's independent and trying to be more independent. So I'm doing my own thing, I'm doing more, but it's reflective. It's not going to project. I'm not telling you, I got to have this, I want to have this, I want to have that. So their choices become very important. This point of choices, well, we'll get to Venus where we see these themes, but for the signs, they're the guardian angel. If a Taurus moon is unhappy, you're in bad habits, you made some bad choices, you're eating too much wrong things, you're having too much sugar, you're not having enough. You can see the habits that need to be changed, but it's going to be effort. They have to want to change. They have to be liked to change. They have to see some reward in changing. When really you're having the extra drink because you're not happy, and that's your sense of giving a reward to yourself, or eating chocolate or whatever. But this need for values around how you're feeling, and the need to be liked, to be appreciated. Wow, that's beautiful. Wow, that's lovely. To get that attention is a Taurus. Whereas the moon in Libra, it's an air sign, and it's the social sign. The nighttime is greater, nighttime's increasing. So that fall sign wants to belong, wants to participate. But the need is to be listening or talking or communicating with the air sign, but also it's driving. So I want to communicate and I want you to like what I'm saying. So I need to have the visions. I need to have someone who listens, who likes what I'm saying. And if someone likes what I'm saying, I'll talk all night. I'll buy the drinks, whatever. So the Venus, the quality over quantity is the challenge of Libra. And with the moon in Taurus or the moon in Libra, you have that style that you want to live, but you really have to question what's too much, what's too little. You know, how much can you afford? All these are Venus issues. And in the moon, with the moons in Taurus or Libra, those issues become significant factors, and they're motivating factors. If the moon's in Gemini or Virgo, those are, the air signs are intellectual, but the Virgo that rules, Mercury that rules the Virgo and the Gemini is thinking, right thinking and wrong thinking, being totally preoccupied thinking or talking and communicating with everything and not really listening. These are the signs that are so busy thinking for themselves, there's no time to think of all the thoughts of everyone else. I just have to have my own thoughts together and do it. So good thinking, bad thinking, right thinking, if you're not eating well, you're not living well, you're not going to think well. You know, so this works fine when it's independent, daylight is greater thinking. When you're trying to figure out social problems and think how other people are thinking, that's more the problem of Gemini and Pisces. So Pisces and Sag are trying to think about others and where they fit in and the implications of it. That's Jupiter. But Mercury is guiding Gemini and the Virgo moon to just make your own sense, adjust it, try something different. It's intellectualize the feelings, looking, I gotta live like this. It's thinking about what you need. So you can think about it, doesn't mean you're getting it or not getting it, but you're thinking about it all the time. sometimes too much. The moon in Cancer, moon only rules Cancer, and if the moon's in Cancer, it's going to feel its needs and don't disturb my feelings. I'm feeling something. It's going to be very demanding of its feelings of security or its needs. And the sun in Leo, that rules Leo, so the moon is pulled towards the past. I'm going into the past. I had a memory. Oh, you remember this? Remember when we did that? That's the moon in Cancer. The moon in Leo, it's I remember when I won the race. I remember I was the best kid. I remember my parents just loved me. I remember when I was applauded. And you try to block out the memories when you didn't win or whatever. You may not see them, or they would be the negative side. But that always remember the winning and thinking you've lived the best possible way. Not a bad thing, but it can be a little arrogant when it's compared to other people. So, but there's a need to find a purpose and go nobly towards the future. If your moon's in Leo, there's a need to find what's to play, what's fun, and to get good at it, or to build some security around. A lot of Leos, it's not so much showy, it's more teachers, Leos. I'll show and tell. Here's how you learn it, here's how you do it. So the moon Leo has a need to be noticed, a need to have things best or proud. It could keep them out of trouble because they wouldn't want to be arrested or caught in an unknown situation or bad situation. They have too much pride, they get caught in the unknown thing. So these factors, they grow, they steadily grow. We're just taking one and going through each of them as best as we can relating to the moon. And you still have to go into what they are, and then, okay, how does that relate to the feelings? I can't see that. Okay, how does it relate to the memories of what one remembers, or the past that one had? You know, or your sense of security, or how you eat, or how you live, all these personal basic needs, that's the moon. So you'll see this need to solve the problem by using the planet through that sign. They're the guardian angels of, you got to be right and do the right thing when it's Jupiter. You got to be smart and think clearly. But the Mercury in Gemini and Virgo is always going so many different ways. It's sometimes to get hard to get out of their head and actually feel things. Because every time they have a feeling, they put it into their mind. So this is basically how the rulerships work. And I like to work with the positive and the rulerships when I do this. I don't tend to accentuate that. If a planet's in a detriment, like if this is really, I don't really use this in interpreting the planet. This would, if your moon's in Aries, you're going to have trouble with values. It's partly true, it's there, but it's easier to see the positive. There's a need to be active. That making the choice, there's more likely a chance to be active for the wrong things or for poor choices. That would be a moon in Aries thing. So I'm not going to go through all of these. They're just a backup. Like the moon in Cancer will have trouble with Saturn. Like it's the Saturn rulership, because it's really they're having trouble with the opposite sign because they don't like to be that disciplined or have to work that hard. They want to follow their feelings. Okay.